don't advocate any of our members breaking any laws.
But some do.
Well, you must understand that, being in a cult like the federal government.
Why'd you call me about this case?
I need your help. Hate groups don't rob banks.
Go, go, go!
There's 6 steps in that book. Recruiting, training, fundraising, assassination.
What's 6?
Large-scale domestic terror attacks.
Two-time Oscar nominee Jude Law is in his next project. It is riveting. It is exciting. It's called The Order. It's based on a true story, so I'll let you tell us what it's all about.
So this is a film based on a true story that took place in the 80s in the Pacific Northwest. The FBI uncovered a series of bank robberies that were linked to a white supremacist group who were raising money to build an army and following a 7-stage plan to take over the country. What I saw as a company in my company, but also then as an actor, was the potential to tell a piece of history, a really extraordinary story that few people seem to know about, that had this uncomfortable relevance and timely place in society today, and tell it in such a way that it's it's a pretty thrilling cat and mouse movie. And it reminded me of some of the films I remember growing up with in the 80s and 90s, French Connection from the 70s, films like that. And yeah, so it's got relevance, but it's also, I hope, a thrill to watch.
It's very thrilling to watch. This cat and mouse thriller is between your character and Nicholas Holt's character, who is just haunting as this guy. It's a terrific performance from both of you. What was it like working alongside him on the opposite spectrums?
Nick is a really good guy, a really nice man, and a terrific actor. And I know him before, but when we embarked on this, it became clear that we weren't really going to spend much time together, because he has his story and his team, and I have my story and my team, and really the two only overlap at the very end. So we were both on our own paths, all obviously in the hands of the same wonderful director and team.
We seek the same goals. In 10 years, we'll have members in the Congress, the Senate. That's how you make change. But progress takes time.
That's your problem. You're running out of time, and you've got nothing to show for it. Nothing. You preach racial economics, we live it. Not gonna be you.
You stand down, Robert.
Or what?
In fact, we were kept apart and didn't actually meet until we meet on camera. So there's a moment in the film, I think about halfway through, maybe a little later, when we meet. And that was actually the first time we'd seen each other in the making of it.
Wow, that's so interesting to hear the process of how these things are made. And also in this just incredible ensemble cast, Journey Smollett, Mark Maron, and alongside both of you with Ty Sheridan, This is just a great ensemble piece. What's it like assembling that cast together?
You know, it's when you know you've got good material, you know you're going to get good actors, but it was important that these people bring their own belief, enthusiasm for it, an opinion, perspective on each of the characters, and they did that, and in tenfold. You know, it's a piece that really provokes opinion and conversation, and each and every one of the cast and all those involved really had a personal reason for getting involved and a personal opinion of what the film means to them.
And this happened about 40 years ago, but really, if you think of it, it's not that long ago. Uncharacteristically timely for what we're going through today. Of course, this story means so much to so many people, and audiences are just going to love it. What do you want people to know after watching this movie or take from it?
What Justin does very well, what the director Justin does very well with this sort of material is he unpacks the people. You know, he doesn't judge, and he doesn't look at it as simply as sort of good and bad. He looks at why people make the decisions they make and what leads them down these different paths. And there are various paths in the film that present themselves. There's the path that my character, Terry Husker's taken, where he's sort of lost his life to law enforcement and to fight the good fight, but sort of has nothing really personally to show for it other than a sort of beaten body. And then there's the local cop who actually went to school with some of the people in the movement, and again doesn't judge them because he knows that they made these choices because they maybe had, they had no money, they had no community, and were promised something by being in these extremist groups. And then you have someone like Bob Matthews, who Nick Holt plays, who has great potential and charisma, but has chosen this sort of path of hate. And, it's about the people around us. And the reason it's relevant now, or it's interesting looking back to a story like this, is you look around and there are still those decisions being made today. There are decisions that we make globally and will continue having to make. So it's interesting just to understand why we make those decisions and what we could what decisions we could make in a better way.
We have seen her grow up just from all of these years. We see her on Full House, Friday Night Lights, Lovecraft Country, Emmy nominee, Journey Smollett. So thank you for chatting with me. Tell us more about your character in The Order.
Wow. Well, one, thank you for that introduction, man. Where's everyone else's introduction, man? My role, that was your question? Okay.
Yes, your role.
I play Special Agent Carney in The Order, a character actually that was originally written as a man when the script was sent to me. But yeah, she's one of the only female agents in the bureau working on this task with Terry Husk to bring down these domestic terrorists who have been robbing banks in order to build a war chest to take arms against the American government.
So that's so interesting that you said that. I did not know that the role was written for a man. And then obviously you've played the role now. What was the process like? Obviously you knocked it out of the park. So what was the process of changing it to you now?
I did a lot of research. I interviewed a lot of former special agents, women who served in the Bureau during that time, during the 80s and 90s. Learned, that women weren't even in this role until in the 70s. Black women, I believe the first black woman was admitted in 1976, I want to say. I mean, dude, blew my mind, So I really approached Carney as a loner, as someone, who's had to work her way up the ranks, being one of the only, being an other, and how that makes her determined to be the best. She has no tolerance for Terry when he veers off course and doesn't follow protocol because she can't, right? And so we built this fun brother-sister camaraderie between Jude's character and mine. I'm a former mentee of his who's risen in the ranks, and he doesn't want to take my orders, but I also want to be the boss because I am the boss, damn it. And so we had a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. And what's really sad about this, though, is that this really did not happen that long ago. I mean, 40 years, 45 years, and just the fact that this stuff is likely still happening across the country right now. And it's great to see this on camera and on the screen that we're telling this kind of story. What is that like to get to be part of that?
I think it's the job as an artist, as Nina Simone says, to reflect the times. And so it's important for us to dissect these stories to understand how we got here, where we are, and how far we have to go. It's an honor to be a part of a story where we can create art that is, on one hand, it's a thriller, it's action-packed, but it also has an incredible message to it. And you do leave the theater feeling challenged, feeling uncomfortable, having all these questions. I'm drawn to those kinds of stories that challenge us as the audience.
We've seen him grow up before our eyes. He was in Mud. He was in Ready Player One. He's now in this great, very important film called The Order. So I'm talking with Ty Sheridan. Tell us more about your character in this movie.
Thank you. Yeah, he's a young deputy in a sheriff's department in a small town in Idaho. The movie takes place in the mid-'80s. And it's basically about a group of guys who are white supremacists who spin out of the Aryan Nation, and they start their own group, and they're driven by this doctrine in this book called the Turner Diaries that basically gives them a step-by-step guide on how to start a revolution. And so they're trying to overthrow the government ultimately as their goal. So it's really, really high stakes in the movie. And then my character joins Jude Law's character, Terry Husk, who's an FBI agent who's really trying to stop these guys. So it's a kind of classic, good guys versus bad guys, but also has a lot of deeper kind of themes that resonate with extremism and family and et cetera.
Like you said, the stakes are super high, especially because this is based on a true story. The Turner Diaries is a real book that people follow and base their experiences on. What's it like getting to tell this kind of story?
Well, it's great. I mean, I think a lot of people were unaware of this story. You know, it's I was before the project, before I got involved with the project. So I think it's also one of those stories that feels, or like at least the movie feels like it could be made at any point in time and probably be very resonant in whatever time the movie is released. So I think that's an ode to how universal the themes are in the movie, and then it also what it does really well is, it puts these characters under a magnifying glass and looks at the good and the bad, and not only just like at a surface level of their ideologies, but it gets down within the, kind of complex thinking of these characters and gives the audience an opportunity to really understand these characters, which I think is a great achievement.
Playing this villain in this central role is Nicholas Hoult, who obviously you're familiar with. You were teammates on X-Men, all these X-Men movies, but now you are against each other. There's a huge fight scene that is just so riveting and exhilarating. The audiences are going to love. What was it like now working against him instead of alongside him?
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, Nick and I are really good friends. This is the fourth film that we made together. So it was funny just to be on, opposite teams here. And yeah, no, it was great. We really didn't, we didn't have a lot of scenes to do together, but as you said, there's a big kind of shootout in the movie that brings our two characters together. But yeah, no, it's always great. And it's great to see him in, a role like this where he can really kind of show off his talent. I think it's one of the reasons I wanted to work on this film, is how many great people were involved in it. So yeah, just grateful to be a part of it.
Great to hear. And also kind of your role takes on kind of the protege of Jude Law's character. And surely that has to kind of translate from you to him, as well as being kind of a veteran actor and learning from him. What was it like working with him?
Oh, it was one of the most amazing opportunities I've ever had in my career. He's an extreme talent, but I think that goes without needing to be said. He is a very, very, very serious actor. He does a lot of preparation, and is very committed to his craft. So I think for a young actor, it's amazing to see that and learn from that. But he's also a great collaborator. He's trying to make everyone else around him as good as they can possibly be, and I think that's extremely admirable. So yeah, we had a great time working together. I hope we get to do it again in the future.
We'll be watching. Make sure you watch The Order now, though, December 6th in theaters. Thank you so much, Ty. Someone who clearly needs no introduction is Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh in the most exciting film of my lifetime, Wicked, finally coming to the big screen. Madame Morrible, yourself, tell us how you got started to join Wicked, both part 1 and 2 as Madame Morrible.
Oh, hi, Trevor. Hi from New York. How I got to be part of this incredible, magical experience. Thank you, John Chu. He called me and said, please read the script and, come and play with us. I would do anything for John to start off with. We had such a great working experience working on Crazy Rich Asians, and it's very hard to say no to someone like John. So I read the script, and then I called him back and I said, John, I don't sing. This is like a singing role. And then next thing I knew, he had Ariana and Cynthia video me and say, it's imperative you come and join us now. How do you say no to that? No, but I was up for a challenge, and I thank John Chu for giving me that opportunity to do something I hadn't done before.
Audiences are going to thank him as well once they see the film. And what I love most about your portrayal as Madame Morrible, when I've seen the stage musical many times, and this Wicked Witch, when she quotes that, is this huge loud projection, but we can see, audiences can see the trailer. You have this more kind of understated, like haunting portrayal of that role, and it's so impactful. What was that going through your mind in getting it like that?
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's very different when you're in the theater, because everything has to be exaggerated and very big so that it gets all the way through to the end of the aisle. When we are in a movie, and the subtlety of the nuances of the complexity of the emotions can be underplayed but captured so beautifully, especially by Alice, our amazing DP, and John under his guidance. It's like, how do you make someone not a villain, No one wants to be the villain. And it's kind of, it's what is a villain? And then at the end of the day, I think we get blinded by ambition. We get blinded by our own dreams of chasing a dream that, has always been so out of reach. And I felt that was very much part of Madame Morrible. That she is the headmistress of this incredible University of Shiz, and her whole being, existence was to find the one who actually could practice magic. And she was surrounded by people who didn't. She was the only one who could conjure up the weather, and that was not in her books good enough. So, she was a very complex and beautiful, interesting character. And thank you, John Chu, for thinking me wicked.
Absolutely. And there's so much pressure on this movie. 30 years in the making of Wicked, everyone wants this movie, but it has to be such a sigh of relief to see audiences are loving this film. Critics are raving about this. There was no doubt that Wicked was going to be incredible. What's that like to finally get this finally released after all this time and know that people are going to love it?
You're right. The pressure, when you start off making something, you only have the best intentions for it. You only have love for it. And when you put it out there, it's like, please love us. Because you can't guarantee, you can't control. You can only do your best. And hopefully your best is good enough for the people who have loved this musical, The Wicked, for the last 2 decades, and now getting to see it on the big screen. So I hope this is their dreams coming true, their magical kingdom, unfolding in front of their eyes, and they will love the experience that we had.
They're going to love it. They're going to see it many times, multiple times in theaters.
Yes.
Make sure you see Wicked starting November 22nd. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Tony nominee and SpongeBob SquarePants the Musical is now on the biggest movie of my lifetime. I'm so excited for Wicked. I've already seen it. I can't wait to see it many more times. Ethan Slater, thank you for chatting with me. Tell us all about your character.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm so glad you loved it. I'm so proud of this movie. And Bach is a munchkin, Bach Woodsman. He is, somebody who is coming from Munchkin Land, this sort of like insular community, agricultural society, going to Shiz, and his whole world is changing. He's looking for a place where he belongs, and he kind of, in looking for love, ends up finding these friends in this first movie that mean a lot to him. I think what I love about Bach is the way that even though he doesn't intend to go there, his relationship with Nessa becomes something really beautiful. And I loved working with Marissa on creating that relationship there. And then, as John Chu has talked about, sometimes Wicked is about what happens when you pull the curtain back and you reveal the truth and how you handle that moment. So that'll come in part 2, I guess.
It's coming in part 2. I can't wait to see it next. But this movie, it's all about part 1 right now, and it is picture perfect casting with you as Bach, with Ariana Grande as Glinda, as Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. I mean, it could not be cast better when everyone wanted these roles. What is it like working with them in this incredible cast?
They are unbelievable to work with. They are so generous and collaborative, and they led this cast with such, I don't know, grace and fun and humility. And I think one of the things that can be sort of intimidating when you go into something and you're like, oh wow, this cast is going to be like Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Yeoh, Jonathan Bailey, and Marissa and I are sort of new to it, but I expected her to be amazing, And then we get there and everybody is just as excited to be there, everyone is so you can't believe that we get to be the ones to make Wicked, and that immediately lowered my stress level. It just made me feel so safe. Made me feel like everyone was gonna take care of their characters and take care of each other, and there's no safety net better than a good scene partner. So it was just kind of amazing.
You're so right about that. And the reception is absolutely through the roof. Obviously, Wicked diehard fans were going to love it regardless of what it was, but audiences and critics are just over the moon about this movie. That has to be such a sigh of relief, just working on this movie and finally having it released.
It is. It's a nice relief, but also I have to say, working on it, I remember I had high expectations. I watched these scenes get made and I was like, wow, Cynthia's unbelievable. Ariana is so incredible. Everyone is so perfect. And John's vision is unbelievable. Alice Brooks's work is every single thing was so exciting. So my expectations were like a little higher than I wish they would have been. And then I went to the first time I got to see the movie, and I was a total mess. It exceeded every expectation that was already pretty high. And as somebody who like really cares about, I care about film, and I care about musical theater, and I care about the future of musical movies and this art form that I grew up loving. And so to be a part of something that feels like a really huge step in the continuation of this tradition is I don't know, it's like an honor. I don't know what better word to use.
It's an honor to be able to watch it. I'm already looking forward to part 2, but for now I'm going to see part 1 many more times in theaters. Thank you so much,
It stands
Ethan.
up to a rewatch. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, it does. Thank you. The box office is back this holiday season. I'm so excited for Moana 2. Families all across the world are going to love it. I can't wait to see it. I'm talking with Indianapolis native and layout artist John Hasbrook. So John, tell us, what is a layout artist? What is your process like and part of making Moana 2?
Hi, Trevor. Thanks for having me. Layout artist is the cinematographer and visual storyteller of the film, and we have a huge department here. And we take storyboards, we work with art, and we put it all together and translate that into the 3D space. So that could be crafting the action sequence, intimate moment, or all the above. So I was privileged to work on A Quiet Moment with Moana and her sister. I also do action sequences. So it kind of runs the gamut of the whole story, but bringing that into the 3D space.
So exciting. And tell us about your background. Obviously, you're from here in Indianapolis. I got that little tidbit before starting. Tell us about growing up in Indianapolis and what led you to where you are today.
Yeah, I grew up in Indianapolis drawing every day and trying to picture an art career. And my dad is a doctor, so I kind of went that path, and that made sense to me. But I wrote a letter when I was 11 to Walt Disney Animation Studios in Burbank, saying I want to work there, and I got a letter back saying, thanks for your interest. We make the films for people like you. Here's the type of jobs we have: animator, layout artist, and here's a bunch of books, reading list. And I felt like that letter was to me. I realize now it's a form letter. It goes out to a lot of people, but it felt like that was to me, inspired me to pursue this dream. And then I finally went to Indiana University to be a doctor and transferred after a couple months. I realized I want to follow this dream. And it was 27 years later from the letter I got back, I started at the studio.
It was an incredible full circle moment. How did you get your start at Disney?
I started on Encanto actually during the pandemic, but it's like a true dream come true. Every day is a pinch me moment, working on these films and thinking that I may be inspiring the next generations. Like I was inspired. I saw Aladdin and I wrote that letter after seeing Aladdin. I grew up, I have two sisters. We watched all the movies growing up, but Aladdin was the one that really set me on this path. And to be able to work on movies like Moana 2, and people love this film. Audiences are there. I have two young children that are excited to see the film. So it's been a great ride.
Super exciting time for Disney. These films like Moana, like Encanto that you mentioned, have really brought back the Disney brand. This classic animation like films you said, Aladdin, the ones I grew up on, Lion King, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. But my sister and I kind of argue. She has a young boy and she says, I like Encanto and Moana better than those. And I'm like, well, I don't have a young kid, so I don't relate to them as much. But these movies are back with this huge Disney brand and the heart and soul that everyone loves. What about that is exciting to you as being part of Disney?
Yeah, it's just like I said, the audiences love this character. I have a young daughter, I have a son. I see the shirts, I see the backpacks. We go to Disneyland, we see the people that, lines formed around meeting Moana. So we know this is a love character, and to be a part, again, is a pinch me moment that I could be a part of continuing her story. And this is an epic adventure like she's never faced before. So to be able to have a hand in that storytelling has been amazing. And to work with this legendary studio and crew, and most of the crew on this film worked on the first film. So it's kind of fun to kind of relive the stories and, oh, you did this sequence and you did that shot, or talking about how our technology has progress through the storm, through the waves and the ropes and all that, and the hair looks as beautiful as ever, the environments, the flora and fauna, and just, it's amazing.
Such a beautiful film to see. Obviously, it's animated, but catch us up where we're at. What can we expect in Moana 2? Where does the story go? Because it's been a while since we saw the first Moana on the big screen.
Yeah, this story picks up a few years after the first film, but after an unexpected call from her wayfinding ancestors, she's called on a journey, has to reunite with Maui and build her crew to go out to the far seas and face an adventure like she's never faced before. So it's an epic ride. It was exciting and entertaining to work on, and we know it's exciting. It's going to entertain audiences. Has a little bit of everything for all ages.
That's great to hear about the preview of the movie. And the voice cast, I mean, is next to none. Auli'i Cravalho, Dwayne Johnson, I mean, leading this film. That's obvious. Audiences obviously love both of them. What's it like working with them? Even though it's an animated film, you're still credited with working with them.
Yeah, and working with their voice talent is amazing, and their singing voices. I got to work on a song, which again feels like a privilege to be able to work on a Disney song. It's very fun, very entertaining, and you know, the voice talent has all returned. We have new characters, obviously, with new voices, but the core cast is there. The singing talent is unbelievable, and there's 8 new songs that audiences will love.
Can't wait to hear all these new songs in the movie. I try to limit myself to listening beforehand so I can get that first experience in the movie. And these ones, the first one we obviously knew Lin-Manuel Miranda helped write, but this one, it's a whole new cast of songwriters. What's it like? What can you preview about these new songs that we're gonna hear?
Yeah, we have a super talented duo, Marlo and Bear, and they knocked it out of the park. It's unbelievable songs, so powerful. They performed in our studio for us. They're highly talented, amazing singers, you know, vocalists, but on the piano, I grew up playing piano. So to watch someone play piano like that and to sing these ballads live at your work is pretty amazing. So I've heard them sing live several times and so impressive, and their talent and their songwriting is amazing. So the world will soon hear their songs.
I'm looking forward to hearing those. And this movie was pretty fast tracked. Once it was announced that, okay, a sequel is coming, it moved pretty quickly through the process. But I feel like that's because there was already developments of the story. They were thinking, okay, it's going to be a TV series on Disney Plus, and then it was moved to a movie. What was your involvement in possibly being on the series to then the sequel? What was that like?
Oh, I started on it as it was a film, but as they were developing it, at the team, you know, the leadership team realized we have something to be seen on the big screens. You know, that's what inspired me to want to work here and write that letter. So everyone should see this film on the biggest screen possible with the audience, that communal experience of sharing the film, hearing people laugh and be excited together there's nothing like that. So everyone should see it.
You're certainly right. I've already seen projections on what the box office is going to happen. It looks like it's going to be a record-breaking weekend for Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And I want to ask you about another project you worked on. You were the director of cinematography for Once Upon a Studio. I remember being so excited to watch that because that is my childhood in an animated short, just all of these incredible Disney characters coming together for this one short. It was so good. What was your involvement in that, and how did you come about doing that?
Yeah, I was privileged to interview and be chosen as a director of cinematography for that. And it was, again, a pinch me moment to work with the legends. That the animator of the genie is Eric Goldberg in Aladdin, that inspired me to want to work at the studio. And now I'm a leader with him in meetings and working together, collaborating. Like he's interested in my opinion about the cinematography, about live action shoot. We shot live action plates in our actual studio. So we were bringing the animated characters to life coming out of the walls of our studio. So it was kind of a mixture of my background in animation and live action, where we had a 3D version of our studio and filmed all these locations and had the characters come out of real life. I actually have a cameo in the beginning of the film, leaving the studio that night before the characters come out.
That is so cool. I'm going to tell people, if you have not seen Once Upon a Studio, make sure you watch it on Disney Plus, because it gives you all the feels. It brings back the nostalgia. It brings back all those great memories. So here we come with Moana 2. What is next for you with Disney? Obviously, it's got to be Disney. Like, Disney is doing wonders for this world right now.
Yeah, I'm actually supervising a team right now on upcoming projects, but everything is amazing. Like all the just to be able to work with this team, like I said, it's full of legends. The layout artists in the offices next to me have been there 27 and 35 years, have been at this company. So they were here, they talk about Hunchback of Notre Dame and talk about all these films that I grew up watching. So again, it's amazing that knowledge is here. And the leaders of our team, again, they worked on Moana. My director of cinematography worked on the first film and very passionate about it. And just be able to collaborate with all these artists, and everyone has their strengths, and we all come together to make the best possible. Every frame of this movie has been so, crafted with so much heart and intention to make the most entertaining, best storytelling possible.
Could certainly see that on screen with how Moana is done. What advice, obviously, people are going to say, follow your dreams, chase your dreams, but just because it's said so much doesn't necessarily mean it's a cliche. Obviously, that came true for you after getting this letter when you saw Aladdin and writing to the studio, whether it be a stock letter or something, you trusted that instinct and followed your heart. What do you want to say to young people who have these dreams of following their passions?
I would say you got to go for it. And my advice would be to draw. I was drawing every day. I was inspired by art. I loved animation. I love the 80s Saturday morning cartoons. Like I love film and just all of that. I just live film, storytelling. So I just think if you want to do something, you can do it. This is a good example of a dream coming true. I live my dream every day. And even talking to you now, it feels surreal that I'm talking about Moana 2, that I worked on Once Upon a Studio for a 100-year celebration of our studio. And I'm a part of hopefully inspiring the next generation.
You're certainly inspiring Hoosiers. It's so great to see. Do you have any family back home in Indiana that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, my whole family is there. I'm gonna treat my sister and my nieces and nephews to the movie Thanksgiving weekend.
That's so awesome. I'm going to see it with my family Thanksgiving weekend. Make sure you see Moana 2 on the biggest screen possible, like he said, November 27th. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you.
The Farrelly brothers, they're known for Dumb and Dumber. There's Something About Mary. There's so many great movies, and now adding to that list is Dear Santa. It's a great holiday movie for the whole family. So, Bobby, I'll let you do the honors. Tell us what Dear Santa is all about.
Well, it's about a young boy who's he writes a letter to Santa Claus. He's not a very good speller, and he accidentally writes Dear Satan on it. And guess what? Jack Black gets the letter, and he's like, oh my God, I never get letters from kids, and our story progresses.
It's the easiest pitch ever, by the way. It's like Snakes on a Plane. And as soon as we heard it, we're like, yeah, we'll do that.
It's so inventive, it's so creative, and obviously you're both reuniting with Jack Black after the Shallow Hal success. More than 20 years later, he seems just tailor-made for this role. Peter, what is it about this that knew Jack Black had to be the guy?
Because this is like kind of like it's a funny Satan, sort of the way, Damn Yankees had a funny Satan. And you need somebody who's innately likable and not threatening. And Jack Black is that. He's kind of similar to how he was in School of Rock, where he's like a little edgy to the kids, but he's also appealing to adults, both. It doesn't work without him. And it's probably the first time we ever got the first person we offered a role to. Everybody passes on us, and then we get someone good.
Yeah, Jack was our first pick, and he was the right pick.
Yeah.
Absolutely the right pick. I've seen the movie. He's just so great in this role. And he's obviously starring alongside this young actor, Robert Timothy Smith. How is the casting going for this? Because obviously he's kind of an unknown, but he's going to be a big star in the making when this comes out, when more movies of his come out. Peter, what was that like getting him cast in this role?
This kid, like, he was just one of those kids, like, he was a find. Like, you know, there's sometimes you can't even make a movie if you don't have the right person, and that kid was the right person. He reminds me of a young Albert Brooks, his delivery. He's got like a very sheepish kind of like, you know, self-aware, like, why am I talking to me this way? It's a sophisticated delivery for a little kid and very funny.
Yeah, he's very intelligent too. We did a very wide casting search for this, you know, this actor, and we looked at a lot of kids, a lot of talented kids, but Robert Timothy stood out. He checked all the boxes for me, but the main one was he's really likable. You know, and so you really care for him. He just you get on his team right away, and that's a big part of our stories. You got to really like this kid.
You're so right that he's so likable. Also likable in the role are the supporting cast: Keegan-Michael Key, Brienne Howie, who we know from Ginny and Georgia. What is that like, Bobby, getting these people in your movie as well? Because you know it's a good movie if you have these kind of actors assembling for it.
Yeah, Brienne was a big help. She plays the mom in it, and she's a really good actress, and she plays alongside Hayes MacArthur. And the two of them, I totally believed them as being the parents, and it was really important that you did believe them in these roles. And bringing in Keegan, he's fantastic, and when he comes on set, he has great ideas about how to, whatever you've written for him, he has great ideas about how to make it even better, and he never lets you down. And he's, again, that guy. You like him, and you want to watch him, and you just couldn't get enough of him.
Well, Keegan's like, he's one of the top, you know, I mean,
yeah,
for the last 10 years.
Absolutely. We got to do more with Keegan.
Yeah.
Play more with Keegan. Also, probably one of the funniest moments in the movie. It's not much of a spoiler because it's in the trailer, but I don't want to give too much away about it. Is Post Malone. Like, come on, there's a concert that you guys get to shoot at. He has a role in the movie. What is that, Bobby? What is that like, getting to be with Post Malone and at his concert and then making that a storyline in the movie?
Well, you know, I don't get starstruck easily because we deal with a lot of stars, but not from his world, not the music world. So when we got Post, I was very excited. I was like, oh my God, you know, Post, he's big time. When he came, it was so much fun. And he really, like, he gave us a lot. He worked so hard and we had so much fun with him. It was just, he had the perfect song for the role, and it was a joy. It took about 3 days to do his scene, and man, was it fun. It was really the highlight of the whole shoot.
And he was very gracious. He didn't show up with attitude. He came in like, hey, you know, this isn't my world normally. How do I do it right? And he was very cool.
And he's a good actor. He really is. He had to, you know, he plays himself, but that's not easy to play yourself, because you're like, wait a minute, what do I do? Yeah. What do I do? You don't think about it. You just are yourself. But he had to deliver these, you know, lines playing himself, and boy, he was good.
Certainly right about that. Dear Santa comes out November 25th on Paramount Plus, also on digital, wherever you can find it. Thank you both so much.
And
Thank you.
Go to Cake Bake.
Yes, go to Cake Bake. It's an Indianapolis staple.
Or in Indianapolis.
And Orlando.
Love that place.
Yes. Thank you so much. Love it. Thank you, guys.
What'd you do last night? I read. I went over lines.
Play a different song!
But something really weird is happening at home.
So annoying right now!
Can we talk about it?
I can't. I gotta go to class.
Every so often a movie comes along where I am just like lost for words, and I watched Dear Monster last night, and it is probably the best movie I've seen so far this year. I'm talking with the stars, Melissa Barrera, Tommy Dewey. So Melissa, I'll let you do the honors. Tell us what Your Monster is all about.
Your Monster is the story of a woman that, you know, when she's in the lowest point of her life, moves back home and discovers that there's a monster in her closet, and then they kind of fall in love.
and then it gets dark.
And then it gets dark.
It has everything. It's dark, it's funny, it's sad. It literally has the recipe for just masterpiece in my eyes. Tommy, you played this monster whose name in the movie is Monster. And what is the process of getting into all this makeup, all this hair for the movie? Because obviously we can see you. That's not you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for noting the difference. I shaved today. It's about 4.5 hours in the morning, about an hour to take it off in the evening. It's a new mask every day. That mask dies with every day because it's It's so it's so fragile, for lack of a better term. And I found it really freeing and great. I love Dave Anderson, who designed it and applied it every single day, and Johan, the hair guy, who laid that beard in every day. I'd never gotten to do anything like this before, and I can't wait for the next one. Now, famous last words. It'll be some 100-day shoot where I'm in prosthetics, every day, and it'll be a nightmare. But I loved it, and Melissa had to do the hard work because you had to look at it.
It was easy. It was fun. I loved it.
That's so great to hear. Melissa, you are a superstar singer. We obviously saw you in the Heights. Your singing in this movie is just next level. How do you prepare to get your voice ready for this and just knock it out of the park?
Oh my God. Well, just doing my vocal warm-ups, I guess. I was very scared because the Lazor brothers, who did the original music for the musical in the movie, who did a fantastic job of creating not just the song that I sing. There's like 4 other songs that we actually shot that ended up getting cut from the movie.
But are we releasing them? Maybe.
I think we might be releasing them.
There may be bonus music at some point.
because they're hilarious. Miss Bokata. But they wrote this song for my voice, but they were very they believed in me a lot. And so when I heard the song, I was like, you guys, I cannot sing this. I won't be able to sing this. And they were like, yes, you can. And so then I had to really work so that I could be able to sing that song at the end. Not just like be able to sing it, but act it, because it's like, the final moment of the movie. And it was so important, and I was so nervous about it, but it was such a great experience, and I loved it, and I love that song.
She's being a little bit humble here. I was there on that day. It's shot with this big crane that's going all around her, and she did full takes, full song, full voice, a lot of times.
By the way, the next day I had no voice. I literally lost my voice. Because it's like scream singing, because of everything that's coming out. It was also freezing in that theater, remember?
Yeah.
So yeah, we shot it, and thankfully I finished that day with a voice, but then I think my throat kind of, how when you get sick after doing, like, you've been waiting for something, you have a job and you get sick right after, and then you're in bed for, like, I felt like my body was doing that. They were like, okay, you're done, you sang, now shut up. And I literally had to take cortisone to be able to finish the movie, because I did not have a voice for the last 2 days of shooting. It was kind of insane.
So great. Also, I'll ask one more question. Tommy, I'll ask you this one. Also starring in the movie is Megan Fakey. After she blew up on The White Lotus, we see her in The Perfect Couple. She's a great supporting character in the movie too. What's it like working with her?
She couldn't be cooler and more lovely. She's become a great friend of both of ours. And she works so perfectly in this movie because she was so hot coming off of White Lotus. And then she struts into that theater, the scene I'm talking about, everybody goes, oh, and which is kind of like how I felt meeting her, because I was such a fan of that last season of that show. But down to earth,
the nicest, the sweetest, super talented, but also like drop dead gorgeous, which is what the character needed to be. And so when luckily, she's best friends with Kayla, our producer, and who plays Maisie. And so she was game to come and like play for a few days. We were all like, oh my God, Megan Fakey's coming. It was just insane.
And such an actor's actor. She was just there.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need me to do to make this movie what you want it to be?
Yeah.
Which is like pretty rare and pretty great.
Yeah.
That's so great to hear. I am not joking when I say this. I'm going to be surprised if I see a better movie that I enjoyed more this year. Make sure you watch Your Monster in theaters now. Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much.
You know and love her. She's in a new movie called Hit Pig. It's an animated movie. It's super fun. I'm talking with Lily Singh. Thank you so much for chatting with me. Tell us what Hit Pig is all about.
Oh man, what is Hit Pig not about is the real question. So Hit Pig is about a bounty hunter that is a pig who is very serious and thinks he knows his life's work and his mission and is very clear, until he meets Pickles, who I play, which is a larger than life fun, silly, ridiculous elephant who's trapped in a Vegas show trying to find her way back to her family in India. And so they become unlikely friends on this mission across the world, literally, as he is trying to return her back to Vegas, but she is trying to go to India. And we're gonna see if one of them changes their mind.
Great to hear the synopsis like that. And it's just an all-star voice cast. Alongside you, we have Jason Sudeikis, Rainn Wilson from The Office, Anita, RuPaul, who I am just, RuPaul is like my idol, like just an incredible cast.
I mean,
What is it like?
who's RuPaul should be everyone's idol.
Exactly. What is it like working with all these incredible actors?
I mean, so here's the thing. I've met only a few of them. I haven't met all of them. But when I say that they all did a phenomenal job in this movie, it is hilarious. The voice acting is incredible. And my general rule of thumb is to surround myself with very famous people like these people. So I also feel very important. So I feel like I crushed it with this voice cast because you're right. It is all star. So yes, let's put my name next to all of those people. That was my complete agenda.
You nailed it as well. And like you said, voice acting, you're not acting against them in these scenes. You're in different rooms, different locations. That's how voice acting works these days. How do you put yourself in those shoes where you're not standing next to Jason Sudeikis and acting alongside him?
Yeah, you know, if there was 2 words, it would be commit and imagination. You really have to tap into that childlike ability to be like, okay, let me close my eyes. What is this set look like? How would I be running? How would an elephant run? How would an elephant fall? And then you just commit. You know, voice acting is all about being okay with sounding silly, looking silly, and just, it's kind of a silly act being like, I'm alone in this sound booth, but I am going to pretend there's 10 people around me and I'm going to talk to myself for these next 4 hours. And you just have to commit to that.
What's interesting also about Hit Pig, it's based on a 2008 children's book, Pete and Pickles. Were you familiar with that prior to filming Hit Pig?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a subtle flex. I'm a little too young to be super familiar, but I did become familiar in preparation for this, and I fell in love. And I love being part of anything that has source material that is so beloved and has stood the test of time like that.
It's going to get old audiences, like not old, I guess I should say, but people that love the book, and now new audiences who are going to love Hit Pig. It's just going to be a generational admiration for people with their families. What's it like to get to be part of something like that?
It's so cool. I mean, I've done a lot of cool things, but one of my favorite things, especially because I have 3 nephews who love animated films, and my family in general, my mom and dad, they love animated films. It is that genre that the whole family really gets together and watches. Everything else, I feel like everyone's in a silo watching their own thing, but when it's an animated movie, the family gets together. And so, especially having 3 younger nephews, the coolest thing for me is when they come up to me and they say, wait, you're the voice? Andy, you're the voice of that thing? We don't believe you. Prove it to me. Prove it to me you're that voice. And then they fall in love with these characters, and that's really cool.
Love that they're at that age, because I have a niece who I'm like, I've talked to previous voice actors. I'm like, I've interviewed those people, but it's like, she doesn't grasp the concept yet. So I can't wait to tell her when she's of age. Oh, I interviewed Lily Singh from Hit Pig, which she's going to love. And it reminds me of like Shrek with this kind of adult humor that obviously people are going to love in that aspect as well. So you're right. It's certainly for the whole family.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't have kids, but from my friends that do have kids, I know something that can be a little exhausting is watching completely kid content every moment of the day. So I promise parents, when you go, there'll be some humor just for you and some moments just for you that only you will pick up on. And it really is for everyone.
I can guarantee that. What do people need to know before they see Hit Pig?
Oh, what do people need to know? I think what you need to know is that we're in trying times. I think everyone's a little stressed, a little anxious right now. And I think for these 84 something minutes of watching Hit Pig, I think you should know that you can just let go and experience joy and laugh. That's completely okay. And that's exactly what our intention is in making this movie.
So said, so well said. I can't wait for people to see Hit Pig in theaters now. Thank you so much, Lily.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
I will live in the past, the present, and the future. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach.
He's directed popular episodes of shows like Peaky Blinders, The Terror, Legion, and now Tim Melance's next project is a feature film starring an Oscar winner. So thank you for chatting with me, and tell us what Small Things Like These is all about.
Oh, Small Things Like These is about a coal man in a small Irish town who sees what's happening in front of him, like injustice is happening to to a young woman near the monastery, and he's facing that his injustice, and he's coping with his conscience whether he should do something about it or not.
This is a 128-page book that you're adapting for film. It's a 90-minute movie, so it's fairly short for books these days, but how did you come across this story and become attached to directing it?
Yeah, I think me and Killian, after Peaky Blinders, we wanted to work again together, and we were looking for material, and it was Killian's wife who was kind of waving with the book in front of us, and I read it, and I recognized a very personal story, which is very close to me, which is kind of the grief and kind of delayed, postponed grief, which I experienced myself in life. And I said, like, but with an actor as Killian, I would love to investigate more about what it is all about.
And to be honest, this could not be coming at a better time for you, for Killian, fresh off his Oscar win for Oppenheimer. What is it like working with him? You obviously worked together on Peaky Blinders, like you said, but now in a feature film as well.
What it is like, I think what's very nice to have him as a producer as well, to go with him to locations, to explain him everything up front, to show him all my storyboards and all my ideas, and that was really special. That's something I would love to do again, because from the moment we were on set, he knew exactly what I was after, and we could start at a very high level. So that was marvelous. Yeah.
Great to hear with him, and also getting rave reviews for her performance as the fabulous Emily Watson. Already won an award at the Berlin International Film Festival for this exact performance. How is working with her and knowing she's going to be incredible in this?
Oh yeah, she's amazing. I have to say, like, I was hoping to work with her for a long time, because I saw Breaking the Waves when I was a little bit too young for it. I think my mother took me to the movie when I was too young. There's always a value in watching movies when you are too young, so it sticks with you, and it was like a dream. But I think it was Killian's idea to ask her, but that she was out of my league all the time. Strange, I was working with Killian, but like, she was impossible to work with. She was too, and then she was on the floor and she was the best. She was amazing. It was a blessing. I'm so proud of that scene and so proud of her performance.
It's two great performances you have in your film, and this is described kind of as a historical fiction story. It's based on something that really happened, but the story itself is the fiction part of it. What did you learn doing all this research and doing this movie about the Magdalene laundries following the completion of the film?
Yeah, I have to say, I came in as a foreigner, so I didn't own that history. So I had a lot of Irish people helping me, but at the same time, maybe the value of it was that I was carrying that kind of history on my shoulders, and that I get more freedom to concentrate about the character. And I think it's a kind of thing that comes back and back in history. Like, if you're silent, are you complicit? That's like the DNA of the story, and you can see that throughout every period in history. But I was really trying to navigate with the character through his grief and through what he was thinking, because I think at the end of the day, if you can cope with the trauma, you may come out as a better person.
I think you did that so perfectly with kind of the film style of this, where it's all these super close-up shots. We're seeing the grief and expression on Killian's face throughout the whole film. It's a lot of not as much dialogue as we see in other films, but I think that is so important in how this story is told. Surely that was your intent in how you wanted to do this story?
Yeah, exactly. I was as the book itself felt like I should be like a silent observer, and having like standing there as a kind of God's eye, like a steady camera, and just looking at people, and the same frame that comes back and back and back and back, slightly inspired by Ozu. Who get like the same, and that kind of magic and how it plays into the frame, and then it goes to a more spiritual camera where the camera starts to drift a little bit more. So actually it's more like a very subtle spiritual movie in a way, and that was my attempt.
And audiences here in Indianapolis are going to be one of the first to see small things like these at the Heartland Film Festival. You're here for the premiere. It's so exciting to have you here. It's already obviously in Berlin. What is it like to get to show this movie across film festivals across the world?
Oh yeah, it's the best. That's what it's all for. I think it's movies. It's like watching movies together with an audience. That's like the best thing. And I hope we still can do it and people come together and congregate to see movies together and then talk about it. Like, yeah, man, I love it.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful film, wonderful performances. Thank you so much, Tim. Make sure you check out Small Things Like These, opening in theaters November 8th. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Trevor. Cheers. Bye-bye.